At that time, one incident happened in a firecracker factory in my district. Because of the accident in the firecracker factory, 3 migrant workers, including child labor, lose their life. They died. If the people come from the most excluded communities, like the tribal community or other vulnerable groups, they are not able to negotiate with the employer. Negotiation about the working hours, about the wages, and many other things. And because of that vulnerability, sometimes they force into the forced labor practices, sometimes they fall into the trap of trafficking or child labor or any other kind of situation. I was also very young, I was 17. So I know that pain, and I also come from an excluded community. So I have a lived experience. In the last 25, 26 years, I always try to work with the most excluded or invisible communities, and basically how we can protect them and how we can create a safeguard for these kind of the communities. Currently, we are supporting more than 7 million households across South Asia and Southeast Asia. Globally, we have about 1 billion migrant workers. About 75% people migrating within their countries, and about 25% people are migrating from one country to other country for job, livelihood, or employment opportunity. But most of the time, these people are not able to get the social security or protection. Particularly in the last couple of years, climate change contributed a lot to increase more challenges for the rural community or vulnerable communities. In many places in the world, people are losing their livelihood and the health-related crisis because of the air quality, drought, flood, unseasonal rain, or cyclone. These are the 6 big reasons contributing a lot to increase the difficulty or vulnerability in the life of migrant community.
We can use it in women's health, supplements, infant nutrition, and there's a wide variety of other applications that not a lot of people know about. For example, it's being used as a preservative for meat because of its antimicrobial properties. It's also been used as to help fight plant diseases like potato blight or olive tree diseases. Now we are able to produce it without the reliance on animal milk, so we can really expand the use of lactoferrin. What we do is we get microbes like yeast or fungi. In our case, it's a yeast chassis, and we will code DNA instructions into the yeast. The yeast will then ingest sugar and pump out the animal protein just like how a cow would, but without having to go through the whole cow. After that, there is a separation process where we separate the protein out of the fermentation broth and we dry the powder. And what comes out is a pink powder. We call it pink gold because of the high value properties and expensive costs it is today. Ingredient by ingredient, we want to continue fortifying different food products, different supplements, and supporting human health.
First sounds like you're dancing somewhere at a party, but then you're hearing about two-factor authentication. You're hearing about password length and safety. People are spending hours scrolling through their phones on social media. Why aren't we making cybersecurity awareness something so enjoyable and something in little bits that's actionable that people can take per day to change and improve their security posture? My mother was a victim of cybercrime, and it just took a phone call from someone pretending to be from her bank. And then that was it all. And I saw secondhand, very distressing, and how really bad that experience could be. And I want less and less older people to be victims of cybercrime.
Not only is it hard for people to talk about money, but when culturally we talk about money, we don't really do it in a very healthy way. Often, if money is even brought up in conversation, I say that it's usually done to compare or to complain, but we don't necessarily talk about it in a way that's about, how do we improve the level of well-being that we feel. Depending on the statistic you look at, whether it's 40% or 60% of people around the world are worried about meeting their day-to-day expenditures. This is systemically something that everyone is struggling with en masse, and so please don't feel like it's your fault. Even though you think that providing access to financial benefits, providing access to financial education is sufficient to support the financial well-being of an individual, we find that oftentimes there's something that's still needed beyond just education. There's a sense of fear, or there's something that's keeping someone from taking action. We set up these breakout discussions where you meet with different people from around the world. You have these one-on-one dialogues, and we design these exercises essentially to make it easier for you to talk about money. one thing that comes out as a consistent theme through these conversations has been that there have been peaks and valleys, and you've always managed to make it through. And so if you're in that difficult position now, if you made it through before, you'll make it through again.